Hello everyone, it's Reese from the Nightmare Field podcast, and I wanted to make a quick video in relation to violence that's been happening at home toward police officers, and I think this is going to be an interesting angle on this. See, there's been some concerns about policies at the Republican National Convention, which is infamous for allowing open carry, because, well, it's Republicans. And police officers don't exactly like that now. And understandably, police officers are fearful for their lives. We're going to watch a few clips and comment on them in relation to this, and what Governor John Kasich is avoiding at the moment because the convention is taking place in Ohio. Let's watch.
Good evening, Brett. And among the permanent and unpermitted groups that are going to show up here, you've got the Westboro Baptist Church, you've got the Oath Keepers, the New Black Panthers, Bikers for Trump. Some of those groups say they're going to show up here armed. Despite this hypercharged emotional environment, despite the violence we've seen in recent days, no one's going to stop them.
Is this concern starting to make sense? Granted, not all of those groups will come armed. Let's take the Westboro Baptist Church, for example. Never killed anyone. They have never killed anyone. But just them being there will incite enough attention and violence. They're not exactly known for calming shit down. So keep this in mind and understand why police officers may be worried for their lives, especially in light of recent events. Especially when there's going to be so many people carrying guns openly around them. So many new people for the police to keep track of. So many new weapons for the police to keep track of. This really is terrifying.
A man showed up on the street in Cleveland armed today because the open carry law in Ohio says he can.
Nothing's going to happen because I'm not going to be doing anything stupid. What if someone provokes you? I'm not going to be provoked. I can use my hands. I'm still pretty good with my hands.
Can we have an honest moment together? Do you trust this man? Do you trust the man in a wife beater openly carrying an AR-15 who says he will not be provoked? Who says, you know what, I'll just fight back with my hands. Really? Then why did you bring a firearm? Please explain this to me. This doesn't make any sense. This is the last person I would trust with a firearm. Okay? As someone who has actively encouraged and called for responsible gun ownership, this is the most depressing thing I've seen today.
And amid the caustic demonstrations ahead of the GOP convention and a nation shocked at violence from racial tension, that's not changing. The police union requested Governor John Kasich suspend the open carry laws. Governor Kasich responded that he's not allowed. A spokesman for Kasich added, Ohio governors do not have the power to arbitrarily suspend federal and state constitutional rights.
Oh, Kasich, you're such a bitch. This isn't fucking arbitrary, is the thing. There have been events that have led up to this decision being made. There's a reason that now police officers would like this, because they're being picked off all the fucking time, John. You know what? Anyone could say that. Anyone, before any great political decision was made, could say, you know what, this feels a little arbitrary. Fucking cowardly. What? This is a leader? This is the reason that you are not fit to be president. Because you do not have the balls to make decisions, to make lasting and extreme decisions like this. You don't have what it takes, John. You aren't fit to be a leader. You're a follower. You are a sniveling rat.
But Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association President Steve Loomis notes that open carry is suspended in the secure zone around the Quicken Loans Arena. Are you telling me that the lives of the delegates are more important than the lives of our officers and the people here? He asked rhetorically, then added, if the governor's not going to do everything he can to make officers in this state, including his state troopers, safe, then shame on him.
I agree completely with Steve Loomis, and we're actually going to skip the rest of this Fox News clip, which went into the protests and whatever in BLM. I plan on covering some of that stuff in the future and on the show, but I wanted to get to this clip of Steve Loomis that I think is very interesting. Let's check that out.
You know, obviously it's going to divert our limited resources away from what we need to be doing. Legal law-abiding citizens have an AR-15 on their back. That's fine. We're not necessarily worried about them, but we are worried about diverting resources. Somebody's going to be watching. There's going to be multiple police officers watching that person with that AR-15 when they should be over here watching, for the guy that's not on his meds, right, that has a couple of handguns.
I liked how this is being laid out. And it just goes to show that that guy who brings his AR-15, who thinks that he's going to be a fucking hero and thinks I'm going to make this place more safe, ironically is making the location less safe. They only have so many resources. They only have so many officers to spread out over this location. Only have so many eyes to watch people. And if you have an AR-15, automatically you need to be watched. My only critique is, Steve, I think you should be concerned about everyone. Anyone is a potential threat. Now, if you give someone an AR-15, their chances of being a threat escalate exponentially. They should be watched with extreme caution.
That's just common sense. Nothing good is going to come from it. Law enforcement is absolutely pro Constitution. I think we don't need to prove that any more than we already have in Dallas and in Louisiana. But more importantly, I'm a Second Amendment guy, and we're just asking for some help here, some common sense relief to a problem.
The really sad thing is, I know this man has been strawmanned like me, because I read the comments. An activity I would not recommend for most sane people, because the YouTube comment section is a cesspool of humanity. It reflects our absolute worst points. And you have people calling this guy a cuck, calling him a communist, calling him un-American, a traitor. This guy is pro-Second Amendment, much like myself, but at the same time is arguing for some common sense regulations for the sake of police officers. And if you even dare say that, there is an outrage of dipshits who pride their fetish and fantasy of being a hero over police officers feeling safe. That is the country we live in, and that is the political environment you must deal with. And it doesn't matter. And to a certain extent, the Republicans did build this monster, and now they're going to have to deal with the consequences. They want to have open carry at their conventions? Go ahead. Do what you want. Just understand that will lead to some bad shit going down. And we all know it. We know how many Republicans are disenfranchised with Trump. How many would love to try an assassination attempt? Can we be real for a second? Because I have a feeling that is something that will be attempted soon. There isn't much time. And we need to take every measure possible to prevent that from happening. But no, we can't even talk about this, because if you talk about it, suddenly you're not American. Suddenly you're anti-Constitution. No, I'm pro-police. I'm pro-public safety. And also I am pro-sanity. Fuck you people.
We've identified a problem. Let's look at it. It's a very temporary thing. It's just for here. And don't for 1 second tell me that it can't be done, because it's being done in that hard zone. There is no guns. There is no open carry. There is no CCW. A police officer that doesn't have the right credentials can't get within 6 blocks of that Quicken Loan Arena. So don't for 1 second, Governor Kasich, tell me that it can't be done. You might not be able to do it legally, and I'll accept that. But I expect you to get on your horse and try to help us to get it done, because it's the right thing to do, and that's true leadership.
Fuck yeah, calling out that sniveling douche. Yeah, John Kasich isn't a leader. Fuck John Kasich. Doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He has such a defeatist attitude. Oh, I can't do this. He doesn't even fucking try. Again, let's reiterate this. John Kasich, this is why you will never be president. You do not deserve to be president. I would never want to elect a fucking quitter as my president. Jesus. Say what you want about the current people running. They're not quitters. They're persistent as all hell. Give it to them on that merit alone. Once again, this is common sense gun regulation. This is also pro-Second Amendment. This is all pro-police officers, pro-police force. Hashtag Blue Lives Matter. If you're going to do anything on Twitter today, please post that. Feel free to tag me, I'll retweet it. Because the police do matter. And we have, for too long, had an environment in which police officers could get killed easily. Especially with these escalating tensions. Fuck that. The second the police ask for something common sense, something that will keep them safe, then the citizens react negatively. Oh, how dare you, person who protects me? How dare you ask that of me? This is the behavior of petulant children. Ungrateful. They do not know what they're talking about. Hashtag Blue Lives Matter. Reese out.